Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. And this video is for you if you have been failing to reach your goals year after year. So this is the beginning of the year. It is the season when we are setting New Year's resolutions, we're setting new goals. And so let's talk about why people are failing to reach those goals. Because this is one of the top questions I get asked. So there are so many reasons why people fail to reach their goals, but here are the top 7. So number 1, lack of motivation or discipline. So it can be hard to maintain the motivation and discipline needed to consistently work towards your chosen goals, especially if the goal is difficult or requires long-term commitment. It's so much easier to stay motivated in January. But once February comes around, much of the motivation we feel in January dies. So by that point, it's no longer about being motivated. It's more about just taking action. Consistent action, aligned action, those actions that will keep you going and eventually get closer to your goals. So it's not so much about the motivation, it's really more about consistency and the discipline. So number 2 is the lack of a clear plan. Without a clear plan or roadmap of how to achieve a goal, it's really difficult to stay on track and make progress. And number 3, what I find is people always think they don't have enough resources. So it's a lack of resources. Some goals may require resources such as time, money, or support from others. And if these resources are not available, it can be challenging to make progress towards the goal. But let's be honest with yourself. Do you have a support system that you need to get to where you want to go, right? You don't have enough time. Well, that's BS because we always have time for our top priorities. So, are you managing your priorities, right? People say, I don't have the money. Well, that's BS too. There are tons and tons of ways to get funds. So if you will find funding, if you truly wanted to, if you believed in your project, you believe in yourself, you believe in what you're doing, then the money is available out there. You just have to go get it, right? And if you don't have a support system, have you invested in yourself in a coach or a coaching program or a mentor? So these are the things that you lack but are readily available. Resources are always readily available, just have to go out and get there. Number 4, are your expectations realistic? So if you're setting overly ambitious goals or expecting too much of oneself can lead to disappointment and lack of progress. Of course, we want to dream big. We want to go for those impossible goals. However, we have those bigger goals, those C-level goals that are so far outreach. You have to chunk them down into smaller goals so that it's inevitable you get there, right? So if you want to be an author of 10 books, start writing that first book. It's taking that first step and taking those baby steps forward that will add up to the end result. Well, number 5, there's the external circumstances. Life happens. Sometimes external factors such as illness, unexpected changes in our personal or professional life, or unforeseen events that happen that can make it difficult to achieve a goal. But it's really about how you react to these events, because always remember that events are neutral. You get to decide if it's a positive or negative, and then your reaction will determine your experience. Okay, so number 6, the name goal itself is hard to accomplish. So in recent events, think of the World Cup. So the world's top teams come together, and think about it. So many teams still score 0. When they're at the top, when they're really good at what they do, their score can still be 0 because we have goalies. And in our term, that's going to be our self-doubt, our inner criticism. Those are all goalies that's stopping us from reaching our goals. So in this term, you can rename the goal to something else. For example, my intentions this year, my plans this year, because sometimes our subconscious mind will keep a part of us, our thoughts, those self-doubt, those inner criticism as the goalie to block us from reaching those goals. Okay, and the last one, number 7, and I really think is the most important one, is that if you're not having enough fun. If you are having enough fun while reaching your goal, it is just so much easier to get there. So for example, I am having so much fun recording this podcast. So if I'm having so much fun, guess what? This podcast will continue because it's my life. It brings me life. And I know I am providing value to you. And so that makes me happy. That makes me feel fun. And guess what? In the process, this goal I had a couple years back of having a fun podcast is going to realize, and it's going to continue, and it'll be easy for me to put out content each week because I love it. I'm having so much fun. So ultimately, the specific reason why you may fail to reach a goal will depend on your circumstances and your reactions, and again, what you're trying to achieve. But always remember, again, circumstances are neutral, and we get to decide, we get to determine if we put a negative or positive spin to the circumstance should life happens. And trust me, life happens to all of us, right? So let's wrap up with what we should do to reach your New Year's goals. So number 1, find out what truly motivates you and set an award accordingly. So find the best modality that keeps you motivated. And so even when motivation is not present, keep yourself disciplined. Keep yourself consistent. Baby steps, move forward. You've got this. And number 2, reverse engineer and set up a very clear plan of your top priorities for the year. Then you reverse engineer again and break them down into monthly goals. Number 3, seek out help. Resources are readily available everywhere. Keep an open mind for help and opportunities. Number 4, make sure your goals are SMART, S-M-A-R-T, and that's an acronym. So if you haven't already, check out my other episodes on setting goals. But number 5, when external circumstances arise, fix the strategy and work ahead of schedule to avoid circumstances that arise. For example, illness, right? You want to work ahead of schedule and fix your strategy. Number 6, we want to change the name of your goal. Same thing with your to-do list. Our subconscious mind hates these words. We hate to-do lists. We hate goals. So if something that speaks more joy to you, use that name, like the win list. These are my wins for the year. These are my wins for the day. Rename your list and goals so that you're having more fun, which leads to our last but the most important tip. So have more fun and make a list of how you can have more fun. Enjoy having fun in 2023, and may all your goals realize. See you next week.